We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
You're listening to Right Side Patriots on the CPR Worldwide Media Network.
We, the people.
Good afternoon, Craig Andreessen with you today, and boy, are we glad you're here. We've got a big show planned for you today. Lots to cover, lots to do, and a great guest coming up too. Diane Sorey is with me today, back after last week. It's great to have you back, Diane.
Thanks, Craig. It's great to be back.
Well, you know, we had a bugle-free Wednesday last week because you were at the funeral of your very dear friend, Dory. And we've heard so much from you about Dory over the past several weeks and her battle with terminal cancer. And it was a very tough week for you last week. And I just have to say, you did a fantastic job of staying on top of things and taking care of everything with Dory's family. Just what a terrific friend you have been to her.
Thanks. That's what friends are for. You don't run away in the tough times. You're there through the good times and the bad times. And the main thing is now she's at peace. And no thanks to our beloved Obamacare.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll be dealing with some really stunning news about Obamacare coming up later in the show today. But right now, I want to let everybody know that at the bottom of this hour, we are going to have a very special guest with us today. We are very honored to be able to welcome Lieutenant Colonel Alan West to the show today.
Absolutely. And of course, the big question is going to be posed to him. What about 2016? Is
there something coming up in 2016 that I don't know about? Is there something special maybe? I mean, is Alan planning a party? Do you have any idea?
All I know is in 2016, we finally get the muzzy, usurping, lying, POS traitor out of the White House.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. What was I thinking? I completely forgot. But, we've got a lot to do between now and 2016, including the 2014 midterms coming up this November, and we have got to take the Senate. That is at the top of our priority list.
For me, that is the priority list, because if we do not take back the Senate, it's over, folks. In the 2 years that he has remaining, he will executive order us right into socialism and communism.
Well, there's a cheery thought. We've got on standby, as always, at the top of the show, we have our moderate Muslim intern, the one we finally found hiding in a cave in the mountains of Tora Bora, Mohammed Hussein Obam. And if he's ready, let me check. Mohammed, are you there? Oh, that gets annoying after a while, doesn't it? Can you send us over by any chance today's quick hitters list, Mohammed? Yeah, I oughta. Okay.
Did he send it by the ballistic camel by any chance?
Yeah. We discovered last week, and you may have seen this if you've gone to either Diane or my Facebook pages. Or even on CPR, because I think we put it up on the CPR Facebook page too, that Iran has finally done it. They have developed the world's first intercontinental ballistic camel. And I gotta tell you, you cannot look at that image, and we'll find it. We'll stick it back up on the CPR page. Maybe sometime during the show today, but you cannot look at that photo and not just bust out laughing. I mean, it's just too funny. But yes, that's why we got the top list here so fast, is because it was delivered by Intercontinental Ballistic Camel.
Absolutely.
Now, Diane, for weeks, we have been saying that we're finally done talking about the plane.
We're not. Unfortunately, we're not.
I did a plane update last week when you were at Dory's funeral, and I swore that would be the last of it. I swore that was going to be the last of it. But now we've got two. It's like a twofer update on the missing Malaysian Flight 370. It came out yesterday, much to Diane and my absolute shock, because we never saw this coming. They've been putting this bluefin submersible down in the Indian Ocean looking for Flight 370 for a couple of weeks. They've not heard any more pings, or at least what they thought may have been the pings from the black box. The bluefin goes down, it comes up, it goes down, it comes up. They have not found anything down there resembling a missing Boeing 777. They have found no debris field. They have found no debris floating on the surface. So yesterday, in their inevitable wisdom, the Malaysian folk, who are, I guess, spearheading the search, kind of like the Keystone Cops, came out and said, well, maybe we're looking in the wrong place. And I thought, really? They said, maybe instead of looking at the bottom of the ocean, we should be looking on land in case it landed somewhere.
Gee, I seem to recall two bloggers and some co-hosts that have said that since day one. Do you recall that by any chance?
It kind of tripped something in my mind that maybe perhaps it was you and I.
Yeah, I mean, a month ago we called this the plane turned left. Left was land, folks. Left was land. They didn't spend any time looking in the mountains, looking in the jungles, looking in the 600-plus airfields within that perimeter that could accept a plane of that size. Nope. They had to divert our attention to the water and divert our attention away from super important things. Not that the loss of the plane was not important and the people on it, but they diverted us away from everything else that was important as we all paddled through the water looking for a plane that's not in the water.
Well, then, as Diane and I were prepping for the show, a couple of hours ago. Diane says to me, "Have you heard the latest on the plane?" And I said, yeah, I did. Apparently, washing up on the beaches near Perth, Australia, sometime in the middle of our night, it would have been, late in the afternoon or something for them, they found a piece of sheet metal with rivets in it. Now, they called it an item of interest. An item of interest. Now, what they're saying is, we're investigating this. We're looking into it to see if it might be a piece of Malaysian 370. And they called it an item of interest. However, within an hour, there were then reports coming from Malaysia that said, well, we're less interested in it now than we were an hour ago.
Exactly. And that has to do with, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, some of the debris that the Chinese satellites had seen had proven to be a fishing vessel that broke up. And this could be another piece of that.
For all we know, it's a part of the SS Minnow, and they're about to find Gilligan.
Hey, that's more of a probability than anything else they've found so far.
So now they don't know where to look. They're going to start looking over land areas, I guess. I mean, at least they're talking about that. They're still looking at the bottom of the Indian Ocean. Bluefin is still making its dives down to the bottom, looking for anything that might resemble pieces or debris from Flight 370. And this thing, whatever it was that washed up on shore, apparently now they're thinking has nothing to do with the missing 777.
I'm telling you, my space-time continuum theory, that's it. It's in a parallel universe somewhere.
It's becoming more valid by the day. Your theory is becoming more valid by the day. Now, I have made myself a promise. Until they actually find the plane, I am never again going to say this is going to be our last plane update, because apparently we're going to be doing these updates now until the 2016 election.
I just thought of something so bad. Too bad Obama couldn't have taken a commercial flight that day.
Just once, would that be okay?
Or even put the moo on. It doesn't have to be him. Put the moo on.
Oh, Diane, speaking of the moo, and of course, if you don't know, we that's how we refer to Moo Shell, the first queen of America. There was an article that came out a couple of days ago, Diane, where, Little Miss Nutrition and here's how all the kids should eat and you shouldn't overdo it, came out and said splurging is good for you.
Hey, she's in the whole let them eat cake mentality. She will dictate what we have to eat, but she's shoving those hamburgers and that cake and all that fattening stuff into her. I mean, come on, look at her. The woman doesn't own a mirror, it seems, because the way she walks out and represents our country as First Lady is a crime.
Well, at least we know.
She doesn't check the back of her.
At least we know somebody's been paying their grazing fees.
Absolutely.
But yeah, she says, you got to have some chocolate every once in a while, and you got to have some French fries every once in a while, and things like that. Which, look, I'm not going to argue with the woman when it comes to that. Every once in a while, I'll actually eat a vegetable, but not very often. But look, that stuff is good. It tastes good. It's comfort food. Have some potato chips, have some French fries. How can a woman who has spent 5 years trying to be the food police, the commissioner of the food police force, now suddenly come out and say, oh, splurging is fine. Don't worry about splurging.
She actually said, and this is a quote, splurging is the key to life. I mean, people in this country are suffering. They're struggling under all Obama's rules to put food on their table. And she's talking about splurging is the key to life. This woman thinks she's above everybody else. Well, and it's just annoying at this point. I mean, Send her out to the fields, let her graze, and leave us alone.
Apparently, you can splurge on food stamps because we see the stories of people buying lobster and steaks and beer and, all sorts of really great food, that I can't afford to buy. When I make my biweekly trek to the grocery store, I can't afford to buy a lobster. But apparently, if I was on food stamps, I could, and then I could splurge all day long.
Exactly. I mean, even people that are not hurting, and people need to understand that all classes of Americans are hurting, even the wealthy that people love to pick on. If it wasn't for the wealthy, half of America wouldn't have jobs. They're forgetting that the wealthy create the jobs. But everybody is hurting under Obama's reign. And I call it a reign because the man usurped the election and stole the election through voter fraud and machine manipulation. So through his reign, everyone in this country is hurting. And she's going around in her diamond necklaces and her pearls and her diamond earrings. It's okay to splurge. The woman has her priorities totally screwed up.
I would not besmirch any first lady who says, splurging is the key to life. But when it comes from a first lady, and I use the term loosely, when it comes from her, after everything she's done to try and tell people what to eat, and you got to eat your peas, and you got to eat your vegetables, and you got to grow a garden, and you can't be eating this, and you can't be eating that. When it comes from her, it just has a ring of insincerity about it. It makes everything that she said on the whole topic of nutrition seem like just nothing but something that ought to be in the garbage pail. But Diane, next up on our quick hitters list today, do you realize that a couple of days ago it was Earth Day? It was Earth Day. And, here we were trying to celebrate, Earth Day, and we didn't know what to do. I kind of clued Diane in on it a little bit, and she sent me a nice card, via Facebook for Earth Day, which was really kind of cool when you think about it. But, I got to looking around to see what else was going on for Earth Day, and I got to tell you, I was absolutely shocked by what I found. And I've got to try and find a way to get Diane back here. We have somehow dropped Diane, so let me, if I can, bring her back to the call, and we'll see how this works. That's not going to work. Let's try this one. And let's see if Diane picks up the phone here. Well, we've lost Diane, but let me just continue very quickly with this Earth Day thing here, and then we'll take a break and see if we can't get Diane back. I found out that Obama was traveling on Earth Day. Now get the Earth Day is, we're all supposed to be green and everything's supposed to be happy and we're supposed to be protecting the planet. It's one of those greeny-meany things. Well, on Earth Day, Barack Hussein Obama traveled 2,328 miles from Washington, D.C. to the state of Washington, generating, get this, 568,000 pounds of carbon emissions. That's 244 pounds per mile. And then he took off on a week-long trip to Asia, flying to Tokyo, which added another 1,169,248 pounds of carbon emissions, the two trips totaling up 1.73 million pounds, 868 tons of carbon emissions into the air, into the atmosphere. Can you believe that? For perspective, the average American generates 19 tons of carbon emissions per year. Per year, folks. Not per day, per year. So that's how our beloved environmental case of a president spent his Earth Day. And for the life of me, I can't figure out what it is that makes people think that the left is all about being green. When, you could have He could have simply delayed the trip by one day and not done it on Earth Day, and nobody would have thought twice. But that's what he did. Folks, we are going to take a quick break here, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Hopefully, we'll have Diane back on the line with us, so don't go away.
Every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back gold.
Ski faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
I believe
it's possible to destroy stereotypes.
To start over, to be the toughest,
the strongest,
the bravest in the world. When we work together, we can make it all possible. That's why Citi has donated $500,000 through its Every Step of the Way program, an initiative created to help future athletes reach their full potential through sport programs that inspire us. Like figure skating in Harlem.
Like youth enrichment services. Like Team for Tomorrow.
The Team USA Stay on the Slopes initiative. Now spread the word and help decide how much of that money goes toward
offering personal support and financial assistance to Olympians in need.
Promoting the growth of hockey in the U.S.
Expanding the sport of luge into new regions.
Support for wounded service members. Join Team Citi and let's turn a world of potential into reality.
Go to citi.com/everystep and help decide where the money goes.
Hi, everybody.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Just an old black sheep from the family tree. I'm now a vet and a victim of society. Well, I stood by the gun just to keep us free. Now my own damn country's turned its back on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. From the Revolution War to the Middle East, I come back to a country that's lost its peace. And now here I stand on the promised land, free and a slave to Uncle Sam. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. Well, you think you know me, but you haven't got a clue. I stood and fought so that you would not have to. Don't tread on me. Yeah, don't tread on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Yeah, the old this is like a man down.
And welcome back to Right Side Patriots. Check, check. 1, 2, check. Is this on? Diane, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, boy, I tell you, sometimes you just got to love the technicalities of doing a radio show. And, you know, sometimes Skype just is not our best friend. But right now, we've got you back, and we're not going to let you go. How about that?
Okay. Hey, you know, it's like everything that comes out of this administration. It screws up.
I blame it on the NSA.
It could be. I mean, they do watch you and I extensively.
I'm just saying. I blame it directly on the NSA. Anytime something goes wrong, I'm blaming it on the NSA. If I stub my toe, I'm blaming it on the NSA.
Well, you know, after our second hour today, we will be having the drones circling over our houses, so anything is possible.
I'm pretty sure they're refueling right now. And let me just tell people what Diane just referred to there. We are going to break open some news, not only on Obamacare, which Diane has come up with something that is an absolute atrocity attached to Obamacare. And if you missed her column, her op-ed today, at thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com, you owe it to yourself to go read that, because it will leave you with your mouth hanging open going, oh my God, what next? And then after that, we're going to talk about some more stuff involved in the land grab situation and what we believe now to be the ultimate goal of this regime and the liberal agenda and the liberal ideology. And when you start putting all the puzzle pieces together, folks, the picture is just plain ugly. Ugly.
Mm-hmm. Very ugly. And some of the connections people will never, ever expect, and it will blow them away.
I mean, I got to tell you, folks, when Diane got a hold of me a few days ago and said, you would not believe what I just found out about Obamacare. And I kind of sat back in my chair and went, oh, what now? And she told me, and I mean, it just lit my hair on fire. I was just livid when I found this out. You're going to be too. And it's something that's going to affect every single person in America. Every single person, whether you're on Obamacare or whether you're not, it's going to affect you. Now, right now, I also want to make mention of this just real quick, because we are just a couple of minutes away from hearing from our very special guest today, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Is going to be giving us a call and dropping by the program today. We have so much to talk to him about. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Alan is a plethora of knowledge about so many subjects. We are going to just pick his brain.
Well, and, you know, he is one of those people that I want back in Congress so bad, and I see the phone ringing, so I'm going to answer it right here. And folks, I cannot tell you how honored we are this afternoon to welcome Lieutenant Colonel Alan West to Right Side Patriots. Lieutenant Colonel, welcome, sir.
Well, how are you doing, Diane and Craig? And thanks for having me on.
Hi, Alan.
Welcome
to our show.
It is such an honor to have you on the show.
I'm just a regular guy. It is special anytime that people will allow me to share a few moments with them to talk about thoughts, perspectives, and insights about our great nation.
Well, I'll tell you, it's very kind of you to take the time. We know you're traveling, and we also want to tell people that you've got a brand new book out called Guardian of the Republic, and I just got to tell you, as titles go, that is one of the greatest book titles I have ever heard.
Well, I appreciate that, and we had a book signing event last night, and I spoke up at Vero Beach at the Bent Pine Country Club, and I signed 250 copies, and the folks were really excited about the cover because it has me sitting on my motorcycle in a suit and tie with my riding helmet. So it's a little different take on the book cover thing, but it really does, I think capture the essence of who I am and what I believe in as far as, my passion for this great republic and this country.
Well, now, a lot of people know, Lieutenant Colonel, you spent 22 years in America's military in the Army. I want to read a quote directly out of your book. It says, now there are people who would take programs like high school, junior ROTC out of the schools. Frankly, I believe they are misguided idiots who have no clue that what they're doing could actually harm our young people. If I were ever to become U.S. president, I would ensure that every inner city school had a JROTC program. So right there you have it, straight from Alan West's book. He's running for president in 2016. Ladies and... What?
Hey, Alan, remember that famous little manhole cover that I bring around ever since you made that statement at the old Davie Schoolhouse, that if God hits you over the head with a manhole cover, you will run. So
that is it.
So I can bring my little rubber manhole cover and hit you over the head.
Well, I don't know if that would hurt as much as the one that God would drop. But, getting back to the point about the high school ROTC program, it was so instrumental in my development. And I talk about that in the book, and I talk about, those 4 instructors that I had that I will never forget going back to 1976, Lieutenant Colonel Pagonis, Major Heredia, Master Sergeant Buchanan, Sergeant First Classman Michael, and how they were able to see something in me that I did not know that was there. And they were able to make sure that I stayed on the right path that my parents had placed me on, because, sometimes kids can have all the great things in their home, but still when they go to school, they can get off on the wrong path. And when I look at the breakdown of the family, especially in the inner city, when I look at the need for positive role models, men and women who can show our young people what it means to be steadfast, what it means to have courage, confidence, commitment, and character, and patriotism, and service to something greater than yourself. That's why I think that program is so important, and that's what our Alan West Foundation, it exists to do, to try to help raise funds to help these programs remain viable.
Absolutely. Well, one of my favorite parts of your book is where you talk about the Great Society. And you're saying, and this is a quote from your book, the left and its black gatekeepers went absolutely apoplectic some months ago when I used the word enslavement. But you tell me a better description for what social welfare dependence breeds. To me, it's worse than physical enslavement because it enslaves human spirit. It destroys the will and determination to seek improvement and a better life. No one could have said that better than you did.
Well, it's evident when you drive through the inner cities, when you drive through these areas with Section 8 housing, you see the despair, you see the despondency. When I go back to my old neighborhood in Atlanta, Georgia, which is the same neighborhood Dr. King was born and raised in, it's a shell of itself, because all of a sudden, we've taken away the sense of self-esteem. We've taken away that sense of individual drive and determination, that work ethic, and we've replaced it by sitting around and waiting for largesse that comes from the federal government. And there have been politicians, especially on the Democrat Party side, that has leveraged that for their own political power and political gain, as well as these, black liberal gatekeepers, the people that we see like the Jesse Jacksons and the Al Sharptons, who continue to promote this victim mentality. And when you look at what the Great Society program did with Lyndon Johnson, I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing to the black community. He was making them dependent upon government and really making them just, an incredible plantation of voters, an electorate block for the Democrat Party. So we've got to have these type of honest conversations. And I know that's why the left their heads are exploding about this book, and they want to do everything to, attack me, disparage, discredit, demean, denigrate me. But it's not going to keep me, from being focused on what needs to be said.
You have faced greater enemies than the talking heads on the left. I mean, in 22 years in the Army, and I mean, these people are like gnats buzzing around. They're annoying, but they're not going to knock you down.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And as a matter of fact, I was up in Chicago, and I spoke at DePaul University about the Middle East and the Israeli-Arab situation. And there was about, 20 to 25 of these little, quote-unquote pro-Palestinian, supporters, some Muslim individuals and some other, the useful idiots, as Vladimir Lenin would coin them. And, I talked about the history of, where did the word Palestine came from? And it was a decree from Roman Emperor Hadrian after the Bar Kokhba revolt, where he tried to eradicate, eliminate, and erase the memory of Judaism and Israel. And he told that, decreed that the region would no longer be called Judea, it would be called Syria Palestina. And, the root word of Palestina is Philistia, and the original Philistines were Greek. They're not Arab, it had nothing to do with them. And as I talked about that history, as I talked about, the post-World War I issues in that region, I talked about the 67 War, I talked about the creation of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, Fatah, Black September, and the 73 Yom Kippur War, then all of a sudden these individuals decided they wanted to get up and walk out. And the thing is, they didn't bother me. I didn't see that as a protest. I saw them as being cowards who didn't want to stand and have an intellectual debate about the truth. So we have got to continue to shine a light into the darkness, and these little roaches will scurry away.
Yeah, one of the favorite moments that I've ever had going to the different places where you speak and talk is the night that you took on CARE at Pompano Beach.
Yeah.
I was there that night. And your knowledge of Islam, the dangers of Islam, how everything has been perverted is absolutely phenomenal. And I wish you can tell some of our people what you perceive to be the dangers of Islam, how it is encroaching on our country.
Well, the thing is this, Diane, it is not the dangers of Islam, which today, as you look at it, is a theocratic, political, totalitarian ideology. The danger is that we refuse to understand and admit to ourselves what it is. And I give you a case in point. When you have a woman like Ayaan Hirsi Ali, and you look at her biography, you look at the things that she has gone through, the Somalian woman, and she came here to the United States of America to flee the persecution. I mean, she had death threats against her over in the Netherlands. Then all of a sudden she comes here, you have a group like CARE, the Council for American Islamic Relations, which is an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest Islamic terrorist funding trial, the Holy Land Foundation trial. And they put pressure on an American university to disinvite her, and the American university, Brandeis University, does exactly that. See, the problem is not with quote-unquote Islam, because all you have to do is read. All you have to do is look at history. All you have to do is listen to them and what they say. The problem is with us. And it's every time that I'm, riding around, I see people with this coexist bumper sticker. I just want to, lean over into the car and ask them, what do you mean by that? We're the ones trying to coexist. We're the ones, trying to show tolerance. But as I tell people, when tolerance becomes a one-way street, it leads to cultural suicide. And so the onus is on us to have, leaders that will finally stand up and admit what is happening. When you look at the terrorist organizations that are operating here in the United States of America quite freely, and you have such as Mayor Bill de Blasio, who just came out with Commissioner Bratton up there in New York City and canceled the demographics unit, which was going undercover to make sure that they looked for leaks and find these threats, because New York City is still the terrorist number one target. And low be upon us if something happens in New York City, because we just want to play, we just want to pay homage to the gods of political correctness, and that's not what we should be doing.
Exactly, and that political correctness is going to be part of our downfall if we don't correct that.
No, you're right, and so as I said when I stood there Monday night at DePaul University, and this was a quote that is attributed to George Orwell. He said, "In a universe of deceit, truth becomes a revolutionary act, and we need people to start going out and doing the revolutionary act of telling the truth." Or else the brighter days of our country may not be ahead for us.
Lieutenant Colonel Alan West is our guest right now on Right Side Patriots. And Lieutenant Colonel, I know that you have made several trips over to the Holy Land. You have visited Israel. You have met with the people of Israel. And right now, Israel being what I consider to be one of, if not our very best friend on the world stage, is surrounded by danger. Their borders are surrounded by danger. There is grave danger posed to the nation of Israel right now from Iran. And we have listeners that listen to our program in Israel. If you could address the people of Israel via this radio program, what would you tell them today?
Well, I've been over there twice, and I had the opportunity to meet and speak with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu back in August of 2011. And I will tell the people of Israel, do not lose heart, do not lose your courage, do not lose your resolve, because there are those of us here that will always have a strong commitment to the land of Israel. And my commitment to Israel is very simple. I'm a Christian. I gave my life to Christ back in January of 1980. Doesn't mean that I'm perfect. Just means that I'm striving to live my life in a very principled Christian way. And if there is no Israel, there is no faith for me. And so the reason why I stand so strongly for Israel is because of the Sunday school stories that I used to, read and understand growing up as a young kid in Atlanta, Georgia. And when I got the opportunity to go to Israel, when I got the opportunity to walk all through Jerusalem and go to the Holy Sepulchre, when I got the opportunity to put my feet in the Sea of Galilee, that was a spiritual experience for myself and for my wife also, who went with me the second time that I was there. Israel and the Middle East has been put in a very precarious situation due to the Obama administration's lack of any type of strategic vision and foreign policy. And I really believe in animus toward the existence of the modern-day state of Israel. You look at Hezbollah's strength, you look at the destabilization in Syria and the jihadists that are there, you look at the fact we left no residual force in Iraq, and western Iraq is being overrun by radical Islamists. You talked about Iran, the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood. At least Egypt is trying to fight against that, but a lot of those elements are operating in the Sinai Peninsula. Libya has been destabilized, so the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda is operating quite freely there as well. Don't lose hope, because America will find itself again, and America will once again restore itself to having a leader that will understand that bond, the inextricable bond that we have between two great peoples who love liberty, freedom, and democracy, and that's Israel and America. So I believe that for both of us, our better days are ahead of us. It's going to be a little dark right now, but we've got to walk through that tunnel, and there's light on the other side.
Luckily for the people of Israel, they have a true leader. Benjamin Netanyahu, I regard as one of the last great statesmen of the world, is their leader. And where Obama is falling down, where our leadership has abandoned the principles of standing by our allies, Prime Minister Netanyahu has really picked up the torch even more so than he had before, I think.
Yeah, he has to. And when you consider the little background chat that was then between President Obama and President Sarkozy of France, when basically President Obama said, I have to deal with this guy every day, that was a horrible thing for, President Obama to say. And that's the type of thing that people are listening to. Or when President Obama starts talking about pre-1967 borders, which would basically, make, the narrowest portion of Israel about 8 miles wide. And that's unacceptable for them as far as their security situation. So we need to have people that understand the truth. We need to have people that understand the genesis of the schism there in the region that was called Palestine, which basically was a punishment against the Jewish people for their insurrection against the Roman Empire. And so if you're talking about the true Palestinians, you're talking about the Jewish people. And that has always been their homeland. This is not something new under the sun.
Absolutely. And I'd like to just change the subject just for 1 minute. 2 shows ago, Craig and I did a big expose on Benghazi. We are both under the belief that Benghazi was a guns and weapons running operation that Obama headed, that went from Libya through Benghazi to Turkey to the al-Qaeda-backed Syrian rebels. In other words, Barack Hussein Obama was aiding and abetting the enemy. I'd be interested, and I think our listeners would be interested, in your take on what Benghazi is really about.
Well, you just said it, and I fully concur with you. The first question is, why was a United States ambassador in that situation in Benghazi on the anniversary of September 11th? He should not have been there. And when you go and you look and see what was going on, it can only be basically because we have funded weapons. I'm sorry, I had to walk outside to get ready to leave to go to the airport, but we have funded weapons to the Syrian Islamists who were fighting against Muammar Gaddafi. And then the mission became, how do we recover those weapons, retrieve those weapons, because they were looking at, as you said, funneling through Turkey into Syria to the Islamists that were there. And as a matter of fact, Ambassador Stevens had a meeting with a representative from Turkey. So there was a gun-running operation that I think makes Iran constantly look like romper room. And I believe that both sides are complicit. Both sides, being Republican and Democrat, knew what was going on. But without a doubt, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama do not want the American people and indeed the world to know exactly what was happening in Libya.
Absolutely.
Do you think we'll ever find out? Do you think we'll ever get to the bottom of it?
I think that we will. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but I think that we will. And you know, this is borderline treason if you find out that we were actually aiding and abetting and providing, you know, weapon support to people that are our enemies, these radical Islamists. And that's why I say this is very serious. This goes way down the rabbit hole. You know, I fully support Virginia Representative Frank Wolf and his H.R. House Resolution 36, which is calling for a select committee on Benghazi. He has over 190 co-sponsors for that resolution, and Speaker Boehner and Majority Leader Cantor won't bring it to the floor for a vote. That tells you something.
That tells us a lot right there. Now, I know you're on your way to the airport. I know you've got a very busy schedule, but I do want you to talk about this event that you have coming up this weekend on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun event. We're going to be over at the B.B. King Blues Club there in City Place in West Palm Beach. And this is all about how we can give back to our warriors, you know, truly the people that are the guardians of the Republic, that are willing to give that last full measure of devotion for us. So from about 12 to 3, we're going to have a little concert there with some local bands and $10 a head. So please come out and support Wounded Warriors and the Allen West Foundation as we try to give back to those men and women.
Well, you do so much for our wounded warriors and the men and women who defend our freedoms and our liberties. It's just stunning how busy you are. But I've got another guy on the line here who I think might try and get, if he could, he's up in Ohio right now, and I know if he could, he'd be down there in Florida. And we're kind of Wild Bill for America's welcome wagon here. Wild Bill, say hi to Lieutenant Colonel Alan West.
Colonel West, good to finally get to say hello to you, sir.
Well, wonderful, Wild Bill. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Well, when I get back down to Florida, I hope to visit with you someday about the things you're talking about. That ROTC program is a brilliant idea. We need to start positioning ourselves as the champions of women and children, and that might be an excellent tool to put that into effect.
Well, I tell you what, I would appreciate you can get in touch with the Allen West Foundation. Go to allenwestfoundation.org. The executive director there is Joe Finley. The office is down in Boca Raton. And let's start building support for it. I mean, we're doing very well. My last ROTC program visit was out in Walla Walla, Washington. And the head of that program out there, he and I served together at Fort Bragg. And we had a common commander, Denny R. Lewis, who I talk about in the book in Chapter 3. So, you know, we've got to do better. And you know, our young people are always looking to be a part of something, to join something. We've got to give them positive things to join so they don't go and join the negative things.
Well, and Lieutenant Colonel, Wild Bill and Diane are both the people that put together the T-Teams USA. And that's a great organization to get people involved.
It's the grassroots.
I would appreciate, I appreciate looking at the ways we can marry up grassroots support for, like I say, for our young people. Because, you know, when I look at adults, for instance, out in San Francisco, where they took those programs away from the young people out there, That's horrific. That should not happen. You know, we should be supporting these young people each and every day to make sure that they have all the opportunities that they can to live in a great country. And we should set them up for success as far as their discipline and you know, showing them that it is okay to be patriotic and want to serve something better than yourself, which, like I said, got me on the right path.
Absolutely, because, you know, it's getting near the time that our generation needs to turn the reins of power over to the next generation. And we need programs like the ROTC to get our next generation ready for that task.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, hey, look, I got to run because my ride just showed up to take me to the airport.
Lieutenant Colonel, it's been a privilege and a pleasure, sir, to have you on Right Side Patriots today. Author of Guardian of the Republic and a true, solid red, white, and blue American, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West.
Thank you
so
much.
Now.
Thank you.
Take care now.
Bye-bye, sir. What a fantastic guest, having Allen West on the show with us and being able to introduce him to Wild Bill for America and really kind of get a basis for where we should be in this nation and what we should be doing as adverse to what we have been doing.
Absolutely. And T-Teams, the organization that Bill founded and is president of, we're the grassroots warriors. We're the ones that are going to get our feet dirty in this battle. We're not going to pull back. And working, we can get Bill and Alan to work together. That's going to be one powerful force to help bring our country back to God and country. That's what it's all about.
What do you think, Bill?
I think that is a beautiful opportunity to finally get some good role models before our young people. Our young men especially need good role models today, something that has been deliberately stripped away from them in our public schools. And I think the Colonel's plan to bring some junior ROTC programs in would be a perfect situation for that. Let's get them introduced to some American veterans, men and women who have lived what God, country, duty, and honor is all about. Man, I'm really fired up about that.
Well,
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what. I hope we can get Lieutenant Colonel Allen West back as a guest from time to time. The guy is such a wealth of knowledge. He understands not only the domestic problems that we're facing in this country, but the problems on the world stage, the lack of leadership that this country has been embroiled in for the last 5 years. And sometime between now and when he actually does officially announce that he is going to run for president, because that's what we all want him to do, and Diane will beat him silly with a styrofoam manhole cover until he agrees to do it. It would be great to have, the wisdom of Lieutenant Colonel Allen West as a guest from time to time, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I think we can do that. I think we'll pull that off.
It's just remarkable when you come across people like that who grew up in a time and a place in America where, a guy like Allen West really should have fallen into the same trap that so many liberals from the inner city fall into, so many people from the black community fall into. And yet he stood tall and said, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make something of myself. I'm going to be successful. And he turned the liberal world on its ear. And he's doing that even today with his book, Guardian of the Republic. I'm telling you, that book is full of stuff liberals do not want out in public because it's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Bill, are you going to stay around for our second record-breaking news that we're going to be presenting?
Oh, yes. I know what you're going to drop on your audience, and I want to be a part of that.
Well, that's
we got two things.
We got a couple of things to drop on people. And, Bill, if you can stick around, that would be fantastic. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to give you a couple of messages here, and then we'll be back with news on Obamacare you haven't heard yet. And believe me, you're going to want to sit down and grab on tight because this is going to rock your world. Folks, Diane and I and Wild Bill will be back in a couple of minutes on Right Side Patriots right here on the CPR Worldwide Media Network.
Dad, Katy Perry is coming to town. Can we get tickets, please?
Tickets? Sure, how many?
Well, there's Hannah and Maddie and Jen and Sarah and Sarah.
Whoa, hold on. Here it comes. We can't forget about your older sister.
Thank you.
Seriously? What? I get 2 times the thank you points on each ticket. Can I come? Yeah.
The City Thank You Preferred Card. Now earn 2 times the points on entertainment and dining out with no annual fee. To apply, go to city.com/thankyoucards.
You make a great team. It's been that way since the day you met. But your erectile dysfunction? It could be a question of blood flow. Sometimes when a politician has been in D.C. too long, it goes to his head, and he just can't seem to get the job done. Used on a daily basis, Winter Egg in Congress will help you every time the moment is right to have your voice heard at the federal level. When using Winter Egg, it's important to note that the borders will be secured, Second Amendment rights protected, Obamacare and Planned Parenthood will be defunded, and common sense will be used in solving the nation's problems. Other signs of erectile dysfunction may include extreme skin discoloration,
the inability to punch oneself out of a wet paper bag,
or maintain a spine in the face of liberal opposition, amore di gramina verde, smoking,
and golf. If you have a Boehner lasting longer than 23 years, seek immediate medical attention. Winter Egg, because Boehner shouldn't count as chickens before they hatch.
It's Boner.
I'm JD Winter Egg, and I approve this message, but I don't go.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience, to the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down. We have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
To the second hour of Right Side Patriots on the CPR Worldwide Media Network.
We, the people.
Craig Andreessen and Diane Sori back with you on Right Side Patriots here on the CPR Worldwide Media Network with our guest, Wild Bill for America, Bill Finley. And folks, we've been promising you some just bombshell news regarding Obamacare. And a couple of days ago, this would have been, I think, Monday, I believe, Diane contacted me, and she said, "You're not going to believe what I found out about Obamacare." And I kind of sat back in my chair and I said, "Yeah, okay, what now?" And Diane had to go get a prescription refilled. Now, this is should be a penny ante subscription. This is for eardrops, right, Diane?
Yeah, not even eardrops to treat an infection, eardrops to treat, on occasion, my ear canals would itch. They think it might be an allergy, but it's not worth even investigating. So last year, I was given a little prescription bottle, smaller than a dropper, that I brought into Walgreens. It was for something called fluoroquinolone acetonide oil. And you use just one drop in each ear once a week. It was $31.99. No big deal. I go in to renew the prescription a few days ago, stand there ready to pay my $31.99, and they tell me it's $215 now. A prescription that had no change to the composition of it, no change to the amount in the bottle, no change to the packaging, was now going to be $215, which is a 700% price increase. For a drug, they don't even have to mix. It comes pre-packaged from the manufacturer. All they did was pull it off their shelf, put my name on it, and hand it to me.
Now, this is not like a 55-gallon drum of the stuff, though, is it?
No, we're talking about a little bottle that's maybe not even as big as your thumb. On my blog, I put up a picture to show the relationship between the dropper and the bottle. And part of the bottle is the big cap that you take off, and then you fit in the little dropper. This is a small thing, not even the size of your thumb. And it went up 700%. But that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it is that here it is. Okay, I told them obviously what they can do with their prescription.
I'm sure you did.
Oh, very, very polite choice words. Well, you know me, maybe not so polite. But anyway, I walked out, and in the back of my mind, I remembered hearing there were coupons for drugs. So I go online, and I found 2 sites, which I put on my blog for everybody to use. There are indeed coupons for almost every drug in this country, including cancer drugs, heart drugs, drugs for orphan diseases, as well as everyday antibiotics. But here's the thing. You get this coupon, you have to manipulate through the sites, you print out the coupon, but there's a discrepancy even in the coupons. Here it was, my $215 drug, and in my blog again, I put up the price to show that this is not made up. If I brought in the coupon, Walgreens would give it to me for $86.52.
Okay, now wait a minute. Now let's go through this a price step at a time. The drug less than a year ago cost you $31.99.
Yes.
You go back to Walgreens Pharmacy and find out it's $215.
Correct.
Then you find this coupon site that you can get to via the internet, and you find out that at Walgreens, instead of $215, you can get it for $86.
Right. Suddenly they will knock off $100 and something odd dollars, and okay, we'll give it to you for $86. They were willing to give up an additional $128.48 in their markup. But that's not even the big story. It gets better. My original $31.99 eardrop with the coupon, but that, by the way, the pharmacist nor the people behind the register even told me existed, with the coupon at Walmart would cost $140. At Publix Pharmacy, it would cost $170. At Target, it would be $171. And through a mail order site called Health Warehouse, it would be $175. So even with all that, there's still a discrepancy, even in the different pharmacies with the coupon. But the biggest kicker of all was now my $215 prescription that would have been $86, and all the others in the 170s at CVS was $23.47, $8.53 less than I paid last year at Walgreens.
Now, let me just ask this question, because I think this is probably the question that's on everybody's mind that's listening right now. You can get it for less with the coupon than you did a year ago.
Yes.
But the place you went to get it originally, just a couple of days ago, wanted $215 for it. Now, at $23, somebody is still making a profit on those eardrops.
Oh, absolutely. They couldn't sell it without making a profit. So here's what the big thing is. This is all greed and robbery. That's all it is. And it's all tied into Obamacare, because in the 2,000 pages that the Democrats passed before reading it is in there that drug prices will be going up. We need the increases in drug prices to subsidize Obamacare, because they knew that they couldn't get their numbers. Yeah, maybe the 7 or 8 million people perused the site and put something in their shopping carts, but they didn't pay that important premium that actually gets Obamacare up and running. So they put into Obamacare that we will allow drug prices to go up. It's not Big Pharma that everybody believes that's setting these prices. They gave the authority to the individual corporate headquarters of these pharmacies to set whatever price they'd like. That's why you have all the discrepancies that I just told you about, because it depends on the greed of the individual pharmacy headquarters. Their corporate headquarters are the ones that are sticking it to the people. Everybody for months and months has been blaming Big Pharma. No, these coupons are coming from Big Pharma because they are trying to make up for what the corporate greed is doing, in the everyday level. They want as much profit, these pharmacies, as they can get.
So let me bring Wild Bill back into this conversation here. And Bill, have you ever heard of anything like this before?
Well, yeah, it's basically stuff like this that caused the collapse of the Soviet Union way back when. And the big thing that I want people to remember whenever they hear Obamacare discussed is this. This is exactly what Hillary tried to do to us during the Clinton administration. But fortunately, those were the post-Reagan years, where Reagan was still fresh in the American minds, and people just weren't gullible enough to fall for it. But Hillary is going to make a comeback, and if you think Obamacare is bad, wait until you see what Hillary tries to do.
Now, Diane, do we think that a lot of these excess profits then are literally flowing back into Obamacare to make up for the lack of people signing up for it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, because what they're trying to do, because of the great price discrepancy in the drug prices from pharmacy to pharmacy, these companies, their corporate headquarters, are in cahoots with Obama to try to manipulate and use the sick and the elderly to keep the monstrosity that is Obamacare afloat. If they don't raise the prices because the premiums are not being paid, Obamacare crashes.
Well,
so why not stick it to we the people again? That's what they're known for.
Well, you got to look at Obamacare as you got to step back far enough to see the big picture. You got to look at it as the enormous atrocity that it really is. And when you start doing that, you find out that the quote-unquote Affordable Care Act is anything but. For the majority of people who have indeed signed up for Obamacare, and for those who have just looked at the site and said, oh, no, thank you, their prices for their premiums have gone up dramatically. In some cases, 20%, 30%, 40%, up to 200% on their premium prices. But then they look at their deductibles. And the deductibles that they used to have that were around $1,500 are now up around $5,000 or $6,000.
Exactly. And when you think about it, the main picture with Obamacare, it's nothing but one big scam to, quote unquote, ensure the sponges of our society so they stay in the voting pocket of the Democratic Party, and it's nothing more. But think what happens when elderly, terminal patients, chronic disease patients go into these pharmacies, get hit with these prices, can't even afford the prices with the coupons. What Obamacare is doing, it's culling the herd. Guess what, folks? We are the herd. This is another form of the death panels.
Well, Diane, you make a great point there, because if somebody, let's say they go to the Walgreens that you went to get the exact same airdrops that you went to get, and they find out the price is $215. Let's say they say, oh, I can't do that. I simply don't have that kind of money. So they get a hold of the coupon. They go right back to the same store without shopping around, without going online and finding out what the price is going to be at different pharmacies. They go right back there, and still $86 is a hard pill to swallow, but they choke it up and they pay it anyway. But maybe this is the last time they do it. And maybe it's not airdrops, and maybe it's something like a heart medication, or it's something that has to do with the kidneys or the liver, or something like that. Maybe it's a cancer drug, and they just simply can't afford it. What they used to be able to afford less than a year ago is now jacked up so far out of sight, they can't even begin to touch it. And exactly. These are people that are now going to have to turn to the federal government and say, please, Uncle Sam, please, Mr. Government Man, please help me out with this.
Well, that's not going to happen, because we got the 15 fat cats sitting in D.C. who will then decide, no. You're old, you're sick. We're not going to lay out the money for your medicines. Here's 2 aspirins. Go die in a corner. That's what's going to start to happen. It's already happening.
I'm not sure under this regime you could even afford 2 aspirins.
Probably not. And like everybody knows, I know personally somebody who was turned down for experimental drugs because she was terminal. Stuff that could have given her extra months of life. Sorry, you're terminal. We're not approving it on your insurance. Bye-bye. This is happening all across the country ever since I started on this Obamacare thing, and I did my article on series of 4 articles on Dory's journey home. People have been sending me things, letters that they have gotten from the government saying they've been denied for things. They can't get their medications. They can't afford their medications. They've been sending me things that they've been writing to the government. Please, what can we do? Getting back rejections. This Obamacare is one of the worst things that has ever come out from any president ever.
Now, Wild Bill, I know you're up in Ohio right now. You're working to primary out John Boehner as a congressman and as a Speaker of the House. But as you're up there, as you're dealing with folks, does Obamacare come up in conversation?
It does, actually. Obamacare is one of the primary reasons why people are going to get out and vote who have never voted before. Obamacare is causing, I would describe it as fear in this country. They're wondering what in the world is coming next. In fact, it's so bad. I understand that the Democrats are counseling Democratic politicians to avoid the topic of Obamacare at all costs during their campaigns. So, yeah, it's a huge concern up here.
Well, and I don't think they're going to be able to avoid it, because I think as they have town halls and as they go out to meet the public, I think the public's going to come at them the same way they did back in 2010, don't you?
Absolutely. If the congressmen are willing to have town halls. I understand that town halls have dropped off. They've been successfully confronted so many times that a lot of liberal congressmen are just doing away with them.
Well, at that point, then, I think the conservative candidates in every state, no matter whether it's a seat in the House or it's a seat in the Senate, I think they ought to be doing as many town halls back home as they possibly can, as many meet and greets as they possibly can, and call these liberals out. Call them the cowards that they are. Say, come on, if you think this is so good, if you think you have the answer to fix this, you come out here and you tell us what those answers are, because they're going to have people in those audiences, whether they be liberals that are running for the seat or conservatives that are running for the seat. They're going to have people in those audiences just like Diane, just like somebody who went down to Walgreens a couple of days ago and found out that what they used to pay $32 for is now going to cost them $215, and they're not going to be happy.
No, and what I'd like to do is give our listeners, I put up 2 sites. There are a few more, but these are the 2 main sites where people can go to get these coupons, and it's up to 75%, and on certain drugs, 80% off, no matter what your pharmacy quotes you. If it's listed that your pharmacy is a participant in this particular coupon, you really need to navigate the sites. Do you mind if I give them to help our listeners out?
Oh, by all means, give them, because people need to know this. And folks, if you're not someplace where you can write, like if you're driving a car, don't write this down. But when you get home, get on the internet, go to patriotfactor.blogspot.com, because she's got the link right there at the bottom of the article. But go ahead and give that link for those coupons.
Okay, there are 2 of them. One of them is www.goodrx.com, and the other one is www.rxpharmacycoupons.com /medication-list.h. And you will see there are literally thousands of drugs listed on both these sites. Thousands. Everything from super strong methotrexate, which is a powerful cancer drug, all the way down to the simplest antibiotic, and everything thrown between. Each coupon will tell you which pharmacy will accept it, and the price difference will amaze you. This is robbery, out and out robbery of the American people. How dare Walgreens tell me that I have a 700% increase in X number of months, not even in a year, X number of months. Nothing has changed in the prescription, except they're jacking up the price 700%, because corporate headquarters said that's going to be our price, because in Obamacare, we're allowed to manipulate the prices. Hello, folks. Obamacare needs to be repealed, not fixed, repealed.
Well, first of all, something tells me we're probably not going to get Walgreens as a sponsor for Right Side Patriots anytime soon.
But you know what? Each drug, I will have to be fair to Walgreens. There are some drugs that Walgreens is a little lower. And there are some drugs, let's say, that Walmart is a little lower. It's not that each drugstore across the board is doing this for every drug. I'm only using Walgreens because that was my personal experience. And I wanted to present this from a personal experience, not from hearsay.
Well, and that's why people need to go to your website, and they need to go to patriotfactor.blogspot.com, get on those links that are down there at the bottom of the article, and whatever prescriptions you or your family are currently taking, whatever it is that you have to get through the day, look them up on those coupon sites and find out where the cheapest place in your area is to get those with the coupon. Because if you don't, you are going to be raked over the coals 6 ways from Sunday.
Exactly. And my site is thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. Blogspot is very picky that you use it exactly correct. They don't allow for mistakes and, autocorrect like some of the other sites do. So you do have to put the word in, The Patriot Factor. And I spell it all out. I took pictures of the receipts. I took pictures of where they quoted the $215 price, so people can see this is no lie. This is not made up. This is reality of Obamacare. and it ain't good, folks.
Well, and we heard just a little bit ago in our break that we took the J.D. Winter Egg advertisement. It's the one I played last week. I had to play it again because it's probably the greatest political ad ever conceived of. But we know this whole Obamacare prescription thing is going to wind up affecting the current Speaker of the House because, according to that ad, Bill, he suffers from erectile dysfunction.
That was a brilliant ad, and it definitely put him on the national stage. Yeah, if you've had a Boehner that lasts more than 23 years, you need to make a change. The next time you see JD up there in Ohio, you have got to tell him that Diane and I absolutely rolled on the floor when we saw that ad, and that I have had to have played that now on the show for the last 2 weeks because it is the funniest and probably the most honest ad I have ever seen come from a political campaign. If I see him again, I will tell him that. And, when you make people smile and laugh, they want to come back for more.
Well, and so I'm not saying
to get all those votes.
I'm not saying that J.D. Winter Egg is not a serious candidate. He is. And he obviously has a firm grip on the reality of the situations we face. And I believe would probably make a very good congressman for the state of Ohio. But, he also, I looked into, I saw his website and I, kind of looked into him a little bit. He's not happy with this Obamacare stuff either. I mean, he knows this has to be repealed, like Diane said.
Absolutely. And another good thing about him is that he's a teacher. He knows the ins and outs of the education system, and that is also a major problem in America. He's got the know-how to fix that. It's getting down to the wire up here. We've got 2 weeks left before the primary, and the poor people here, they're just overworked and understaffed. So I put out a call yesterday for anybody who is mobile to jump in your car, come up to Ohio, and spend a week working to defeat John Boehner. He may be an Ohio politician, but he's a national problem. So if you can come up here and help with that, we may be able to cover some of your expenses. Send me an email at bill@wildbillforamerica.com and put boots in the subject line so we'll know you want to be one of the boots on the ground.
Now, Diane, you also, in your research for this article that you published today, you also found something, a price on a cancer drug, was it, that is just horrendous?
Yes, it was one of the powders. I believe it's the methotrexate powder. And these drugs have to be taken sometimes every day, sometimes 1 week out of a month, whatever. But the highest price I found for a 1 month supply, $10,000. How the hell is anyone going to afford $10,000 a month for one drug?
I'll tell you what's going to happen. This is going to open up a huge black market in America for medicinal drugs. Enterprising people are going to be smuggling them in by the boatload from Europe and Asia and make a killing. And we're going to have people using these drugs without a doctor's supervision. So we may well see some deaths from this.
Exactly. This is a nightmare. And the thing is, I blame every Democratic member of Congress for voting for this monstrosity. I'm sorry, I'm just so fuming. Voting for this monstrosity before they read it. This stuff, this allowing the raising of the prices, allowing insurance premiums to be manipulated, it's in there. They approved it. Every Democrat in Congress needs to go.
Well, and Republicans, not one single Republican voted in favor of Obamacare, not one. And you have to remember that Obama had to bribe members of his own party just to pass this monstrosity. And when you look at it that way, when you look at the fact that nobody read the thing before it was passed, they weren't allowed to read it before it was passed, and then it contains stuff like this, and we've still got liberals like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who says, well, I don't see a thing about Obamacare that I would change, that I think needs to be changed. Well, I'll tell you what. Back in the yard, you little poodle, you.
course, she doesn't have Obamacare. You know, you got to stick that in. She's got private insurance. It's just a monstrosity from start to finish.
But see, Diane, that's just the point. It doesn't matter whether you have Obamacare or whether you have private insurance, because these prescription drug prices are going to get you either way.
Exactly. It affects everyone. I don't have Obamacare. I have my own private insurance through a top-notch, one of the top-tier companies. We're lucky we're able to have private insurance. And this still affected me. Even with all the coverage I have, this still affected me. And that's what I mean. It affects every single American in this country. Do you know that on any given day, 70% of America is on some form of prescription drug? Every day in this country. This is an out-and-out crime.
Boy, I don't know that crime even begins to touch it. When you consider the amount of money they're going to take out of the American people's pockets, and people that need something as simple as eye drops or as complicated as a cancer treatment, just for those prescriptions, they are going to bankrupt Americans from coast to coast. And the extra money is just going to flow back into Obamacare. And if this idea was so great, why is it being forced down our throats? We can't even swallow the pills, much less the bill.
Exactly. Forced down our throats strictly so they can keep the sponges in their pocket, in their voting pocket. That's what it's about. Even the lowest socioeconomic people on our ladder, this is going to affect them too. They think they're getting a free ride. They're not getting a free ride either. But they don't see it.
They will.
They don't see it because of the loyalty to the party. We're not going to bite the hand that feeds us. Guess what? The mouth that feeds you is going to take a chunk out of you too.
It's coming, folks. And if you haven't read Diane's article today, you owe it to yourself to go read it. Make sure you get those links, because those are going to save you and your family tons and tons of money. Right now, because of Obamacare, because of all this stuff that's going on, today, Diane Sori is your best friend. She is going, I'm telling you, she is going to save you a ton of money on your prescriptions if you go to that blog. So check it out, thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. Get the coupon links, save yourself some money, and let's fight on about Obamacare. Diane, Bill, we got to take another quick break here. When we come back, we're talking about land grabs, we're talking about Common Core, we're talking about federal agencies, and we're talking about the all-or-nothing agenda of the left. Don't miss it. Stick around.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Citigold is an account from a global bank with over 200 years' experience, offering international banking expertise across over 100 markets. Your dedicated investment consultant adds a unique personal touch to your banking experience. Complimentary lifestyle offers like Marhaba service and free global money transfers help you save on time and money. At the core of Citigold is your dedicated relationship manager, personally looking after your financial needs. Be it lifestyle privileges like golf, lounge access across the Middle East, or worldwide privileges, Citigold provides you with a rewarding experience. One card is all you need for all your Citibank accounts. As a Citigold client, you benefit from our international expertise and global reach. Citigold is more than an account. It's a personal banking service offering exceptional privileges, customer service and recognition worldwide. So wherever you are, City Gold will be with you.
The network wants to treat me right. Y'all can take the change and stick it out of sight. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Well, it used to be easy, get a place, build a house. Now the EPA said no, that's the home of the blue mouse. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. We're gonna use some common sense and we're gonna take back our country. Well, they've beaten to death that pole race horse. This politically correct thing has run its course. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Bing. Lots of divorces from showing them bangs. Why don't you mind your own business? That's good advice. Mind your own business. Dad got it right. But if you mind your business, then you won't be minding mine. Every sign says for sale, for lease. Price reduced. Make an offer, please. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. There's no way today we could build Boulder Dam. There'd be way too many government permit scams. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for the good news? We're gonna take back this country. Hey, Barack, pack your bags, head to Chicago. Take your teleprompter with you so you'll know where to go. So move it on over, move it on over, move it on over, move it on over, move over, little dog, cause the big dog's moving in. Hey, 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 move it on over, move it on over, slide it on over, move it on over. Hey, are you ready for some good news? Are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Hank Williams Jr. taking back our country. That's what Diane and I are trying to do right now on Right Side Patriots here on the CPR Worldwide Media Network. And, you know, I'm doing it by kind of engineering the show here today. Diane's doing it by crunching.
Yep, here, guys. Here's the bugles.
And you thought they're sitting at home, sitting in your offices, listening to Right Side Patriots today, that we had abandoned the bugles. No such luck, folks. Diane has been crunching away during every break, just like she's done for weeks now.
Bugles and brownies are my weakness.
Hey, but Moo says it's okay to splurge.
Well, then I guess I'm doing right by the Moo. But I think what we just presented kind of cancels that out.
You know, it really kind of does. I mean, it's a good thing you don't need prescriptions for bugles. That's all I can say.
Bugles and brownies. If I needed prescriptions for those, I'd be paying the $215. lunch, folks. Okay.
Put the bag away, Diane. We've got work to do. We've got a country to take back.
Bag is gone.
Okay. That's for all of our Bugle fans out there. We weren't going to let you down, folks. Don't worry about it. Okay, so far, let's recap what we've done on the show today. We've talked about the plane that's still missing, Michelle saying splurging is good, Earth Day with Obama polluting the atmosphere, literally 1,000 times more than any normal human does in a given year. And we had, as a total honor and a total privilege, we had Lieutenant Colonel Alan West as a guest. We've had Wild Bill, and Wild Bill had to run, by the way. Very busy up there in Ohio, working to unseat John Boehner by getting a good, solid conservative in there. And he wanted us to let you know that, don't forget, folks, because 2016 is coming, Obamacare was originally Hillary Care.
Absolutely.
Don't forget that. And
Absolutely.
That kind of plays into where we're going next here. And that is the article that I wrote for thenationalpatriot.com today. You know, we've heard so much, Diane, about the land grabs and the Bundy Ranch and Bunkerville and the BLM and all of that. It's absolutely amazing when you start putting it together like a jigsaw puzzle.
Absolutely.
And you start seeing the picture that emerges from all of this. And you cannot deny, and now I know liberals will, but they cannot deny the facts anymore. The liberal agenda today, the ideology and the agenda are about total control over us, the American people. And it doesn't matter. It does not matter, not one iota, whether you're a conservative or a liberal. The idea is that the government is going to control you, and they will take any measures necessary to do that. It's absolutely amazing when you start to look at this. And to really understand it, and I'll just kind of walk people through in a nutshell what I have in the article today. And the article is literally titled Staring Down the Barrel of the Liberals' Total Control Agenda. You have to understand that where this all came from. And to understand it, you have to look back, and not just back to Obama's first year. You got to go all the way back to the Clinton administration, and this is why what Wild Bill said was so important. The first thing Clinton did when he assumed office was he put Hillary, a very plausible 2016 presidential candidate, in charge of trying to socialize the healthcare industry. She failed. It was a miserable failure. And the reason for that is people were happy. They'd just come off the Reagan era, Reagan, Bush 41. They just come off of that. People were feeling good. They were upwardly mobile. The economy was looking good. Everything was fine. People didn't want socialized medicine, and therefore it failed. But for the current agenda and the ideology of liberals and socialists today to succeed, Obama had to succeed where Hillary failed. And that was by instituting this socialistic healthcare system called Obamacare. All right, so he gets that in place. He bribes people to pass it, people in his own party, doesn't let anybody read it before they pass it, gets it in there, and then he starts dinking around with it and doing everything that the Republicans told him, you got to do this, you got to delay it, you got to kill it, you got to stop this, you got to put a hold on that. Of course, they wouldn't have it. They wouldn't have any of it. But with his pen and with his phone, he was able to do those things.
Exactly. Right. And remember, he warned us years ago. His goal was to fundamentally transform America. And that's what he's doing. That's
exactly right. But he never told us how he was going to fundamentally transform it from what we had to what exactly.
Well, he didn't need to. He didn't need to, because we have a Congress that sits back and lets him do whatever he wants, because our leaders in Congress, people like Boehner, don't have the guts to stand up and say no.
Well,
just sit there.
They do. They just sit there. Now, here's the next piece of the puzzle that you have to put in place. In order for any of this to work, you've got to crash the economy. In order to get people to want socialized medicine, you've got to crash the economy. That way people don't have money and they look to the government to help them. Well, let me tell you, knock, 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 I'm from the government and I'm here to help doesn't work. It doesn't cut it. All right? So you get Dodd-Frank and the Dodd-Frank bill, and you crash the housing market with that. Now, this is something that Bush 43, George W. Bush, warned Congress about not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. He told them this was going to happen, and every time he did, the liberals in Congress told him he was an idiot and a fool, and he did not know what he was talking about. Well, it turns out he was spot on. Again, he was spot on. He got set up. And as Rahm Emanuel so famously said, never let a crisis go to waste. So now they've got a housing crisis. The bubble breaks. The economy starts to go into a recession, a deep recession. Along comes Obama, the man who's going to fundamentally transform America, the man who's going to fix it all and make it all okay. And what does he do? Gets that Obamacare in there because people are desperate. People are desperate. They're out of money. They're losing their jobs. Their businesses are closing. Got to have government come in and take care of them. So that's how this all got started. All right. Now, how do the land grabs fit into this picture? Well, these are more pieces of the puzzle, folks. For decades, the federal government has been extorting the states and the people by plying both with federal taxpayer dollars for infrastructure projects. If you need a bridge fixed, federal government comes, we'll help you with that. If you need a road repaired, we'll help you. If you need a road built, we'll help you with that. Oh, your dam is getting old, your levees are getting old, we'll help you with those. We're the federal government, we're here to help. Well, in return, what the federal government's been doing is, we'll help you with these projects, but we want that little parcel of land over there, and we want those acres over there, and we want that tract of land off yonder. And little by little by little over the decades, the federal government, and I don't care if it's a Democrat-led government or a Republican-led government, liberals or conservatives, they've been chipping away at the land of the states, especially in the western half of the United States. Okay?
Yeah, and you need to tell people why the West is so important, because of the weapons-grade minerals under the ground, and also the water, the aquifers.
Yeah. Now, folks, you've got, like Diane said, you've got weapons-grade minerals. Those are on the ground and in the ground. You've got energy sources in the ground. If you drill or frack, you can get to those, natural gas and fossil fuels, and water. And folks, this is the part that's jaw-dropping, because after a couple of weeks dealing with the situation in Nevada at Bundy Ranch, Bunkerville, now we're seeing it happening in Texas. It's the land grabs are one thing, and that's the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, that's been out doing that. But guess what, folks? The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, is ready to make the largest land grab in world history, and I'm not exaggerating. Here's what the EPA wants to do, folks. Sit down and hang on tight. They want to take control of water, all of it, from rivers and streams to lakes and ponds. If you're a farmer, you have a cattle pond. If you own property, you have your own private lake. They want to control that. They want to control the reservoirs. If you live in a rural part of this country and you rely on well water to wash your clothes and drink and cook and bathe, they want to control the water that's in your well. Folks, the EPA wants to control the raindrops that fall on the rooftops. That, they say, belongs to them because it runs off the roof, it hits the ground, it runs through the ground or across the ground, goes into something else. They want to control that. And folks, they want to control dry riverbeds. I'm talking about riverbeds that have not had water flowing in them for over a century, because water did once flow there, and it is still labeled a river bed. Therefore, the federal government, via the EPA and this new proposal that they have, they want to control the dry riverbeds. Now, it's not enough, folks, that they control the water itself, but they want the right-of-way, the easements around where that water is. Okay? So if you've got a well out in your backyard and you're pumping water into your house through that well, they're going to take an easement out around your well, and you can't put flowers in there unless you beg for permission from the damn federal government.
Yeah. And what people don't realize, this is shades of Agenda 21 on our own soil. This is a total takeover of our country by government bureaucracy, by government organizations, by government committees. Everything is going to be about government soon if we don't stop this.
Folks, let me tell you something. You can't live without water for more than 3 days. If you don't drink water for 3 days, you're going to die.
Exactly.
That's just a medical fact, all right? The government, the federal government, wants to control the water, every drop of it. They will, if they get their way, eventually tell you how much you can drink during a day, how many glasses of water you can have, and what you can do with water, whether you can water your plants or your yard, whether you can use the water in your pond for your cattle, whether you can go fishing, whether you can put a boat in the lake that's on your property, or whether you can put a canoe in a stream and paddle downstream to see the scenery. You're going to have to get a permit from the federal government to do it, and it doesn't matter where it is. If you have farmland on either side of a dry riverbed, the federal government is going to stop you. They're going to stop you in your tracks. This is if the EPA gets their way. Now, there are several people in Congress right now that are saying, now wait a minute. You can't be doing that. And it's bipartisan. I've got to admit that. There are some Democrats that are saying that, and there are a good, healthy number of conservatives that are saying that in Congress. But if the EPA gets their way, these are bureaucrats, folks. We don't elect the EPA. These are a bunch of pencil-pushing yahoos.
But remember something. The Senate is still under the auspices of Prince Harry Reid. And if any bill has to go through, even if it passes the House bipartisan, you know Harry Reid is going to kill it before it reaches the Senate floor.
Well, Diane, just like you kept saying, the Obamacare thing gets worse and worse and worse, so does this.
Exactly.
Because let me put a couple more pieces into this puzzle for you folks. Over the last 5 years, this regime has been purchasing and stockpiling ammunition and weapons, and they have been dispersing those weapons and that ammo throughout an array of federal agencies. We're talking about 2 billion rounds so far. 2 billion with a B rounds. And who is the federal government under this regime arming? Folks, you might be surprised to know that the Library of Congress is now armed. The Federal Reserve Board is now armed. The Fish and Wildlife Service, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration are armed. The offices of the Inspector General are now armed. The U.S. Postal Service is armed. The Government Printing Office is now armed. The Social Security Administration is now armed. We saw the BLM out on the Bundy Ranch armed to the teeth. The BLM is now armed. Under this current regime, the National Institutes of Health, Diane, hello Obamacare, the National Institute of Health is armed.
It's all tied in together. This is one neat little package being dropped on us.
And folks, the EPA wants to control every drop of water?
I don't think so. If this doesn't get people off their butts and into that voting booth come November to stop this nonsense, I don't know what will. Are people really that apathetic in this country? I would hope not.
Well, I'll tell you what, we saw Patriot militias, we saw Tea Party patriots out there at the Bundy Ranch meeting force with force. We saw them come armed. The BLM was out there armed. The BLM had to back down. Okay?
Yes.
We cannot let our guard down, folks, because there are now 73 armed federal agencies. They are nothing more than various federal bureaus of paper shuffling, and they are armed with over 2 billion rounds of ammunition.
The one thing everyone forgets, the largest militia in the world is behind every blade of American grass. It's we patriots, it's we the people. We can match them if it ever came to it.
Well,
we can match them one for one.
And let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Exactly. We don't want war. Nobody is promoting a war within our own country. We had a civil war already. We don't need another one. But we might, if push comes to shove, a second American Revolution. Maybe it'll be like at the Bundys, where no one is killed, no shots are fired. But we can't guarantee that anymore. Our fundamental rights are being taken away from us. Now they want to take our water? Come on, people, wake up here.
Let me make it worse. Allow me to make it worse.
Sure.
There are two ways, folks, that the federal government is going to force you to comply with these insane land grabs and water grabs. They will either do it like they did at the Bundy, or like they tried to at the Bundy Ranch, at the point of a gun. But here's the other way, folks, and it's called Common Core. It's the final solution to turning out generations of Americans who believe that government is more capable of making decisions for us than we are for ourselves. If you remove from the curriculum the history of our nation's founding, remove the meaning and intentions of our founders and framers, and those things that they entrusted us via the Constitution, if you make every child believe that equality by government standards is more desirable than the opportunity to succeed, if you dumb them down and instill in them that faith and religion are paramount to bigotry while making their families more and more reliant on government-provided entitlements like food stamps and Obama phones, why would they strive to be self-reliant when the government will provide for them? You will have them right where you want them as willing participants in a socialist communist state, breeding and teaching their children the glories of a perverse and failed ideology while automatically casting out the demons who profess exceptionalism and a constitutional republic. You see it in our public schools today. You've seen it for decades. They've been at this for decades. Common Core is simply the end cap on that little piece of the agenda. And trust me, folks, for the complete package of the liberal socialist agenda to succeed, Common Core will eventually become mandated, and states will have or who have or are considering removing Common Cores from their schools will be extorted into Common Care acceptance the same way the federal government has for decades extorted the states into giving up their land.
And what people don't understand about Common Core, it's very simple. America's children are not common. We are an exceptional nation. Common Core takes away individual exceptionality. It makes our children little robots all lined up in a row. Little robots who can say 2 + 2 is 5. As long as I show how I got 5, it's okay. The answer doesn't matter as long as I show how I got my wrong answer. Common Core is a danger because it's indoctrination.
And I'm telling you,
in Common Core curriculum, they've taken out the Constitution. They've taken out our founding. They've replaced it with the 5 pillars of Islam. That's okay to teach. But don't teach Christianity or Judaism, the 2 religions on which our country was founded. No. Let's replace it with the 5 pillars of Islam. Let's take out the Bill of Rights. Let's take out science. Let's take out writing. Everybody's going to be the same. We're all going to be common. There's no exceptionality. Folks, this is serious stuff.
Let me just tell you, because we're going to have to run here, but let me just tell you, there is no way in hell you can allow government, regardless of who is in charge of it, to control you and still claim that you are free. There is no way in hell. Diane and I have worked very, very hard this week to bring you these 2 stories. And believe me, we're going to stay on top of this stuff. We're going to be all over this stuff. But we want to thank Wild Bill for coming on to the show today. And we really want to extend a very special thank you to an honored guest today, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. If you haven't gotten his book yet, pick it up. It's called Guardian of the Republic, and we hope to have Lieutenant Colonel Alan West as our guest again and again and again. But Diane, thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad the Bugles are with you.
Bugles are here.
And folks, before I go, tune in this Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern. Diane and I are going to twice a week, and it's going to be a live call-in show on Saturday. We'll give you the numbers. Look for them on the CPR Facebook page, Diane's page, my page, and we're going to have a blast. We're going to twice a week, folks, Wednesdays and Saturdays. Saturday will be our first call-in show, and we are looking forward to it. Folks, thank you for joining us on Right Side Patriots here on the CPR Worldwide Media Network, and we will talk to you again on Saturday.
Bye-bye, guys.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love to have a man sing. You broke my will, what a thrill. Doesn't you raise some quick balls of fire? I let it love on the thought it was funny. Then you came along and you wooed me, honey. I changed my mind, love is fine. I let you raise some quick balls of fire. Kiss me, baby. I love you like a lover should. You're fine, so kind. I'm gonna love this world that you're mine, mine, mine. I see my love on a feeling to bumper. I'm getting everybody showing corner. Come on, baby, you drive me crazy. Girl, if you raise your whip balls of fire. Should. You're fine, so kind. I'm gonna tell this world that you're mine, 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 mine. I see my love and the little on the phone. All I do is love is but it's showing me wrong. Come on, baby, you're driving me crazy. Getting software is gonna tear you up now. Love you like a lover should. You're mine.